if you haven't heard this meme, but I'm 260.
You think so? Nah, you really think so? No, I'm 260.
I said
Where have you been? You might recognize this guy, Bradley Martyn. He's a giant fitness and bodybuilding YouTuber, and he's pretty athletic. Several months ago, he started bringing fighters onto his podcast and asking them if he could beat them in a street fight, or if he could beat them. This included boxer Devin Haney, UFC fighter Nate Diaz.
You think you beat me in a street fight?
Huh?
You think you beat me in a street fight?
You in a street fight?
Yeah.
You're a podcaster, brother.
I love
And recently, Mighty Mouse. Both of them have formally agreed and said there is a match on the way. Even UFC fighter Sean Strickland has called him out, asking him to sign a waiver so that he could break his face. Now, we all know that this is a dumb meathead argument, the he's 260 meme, but Bradley has grappled before and he is athletic. Would he do better than you expect? Maybe, but he's going to get murdered by all of them, at least the ones that know how to grapple. Sorry, Devin Haney. Here he is wrestling with former world's strongest man, Brian Shaw.
Damn!
One thing that Martyn does is he continually exhibits a lack of understanding of the size of the fighters he's speaking to.
Demetrius Johnson, who fights at 125 in a street fight, would f you up.
Why
dude.
Demetrius Johnson?
He's tiny, but he's black belt in everything when it comes to hand-to-hand combat.
But you don't.
So on the ground, I know you like. You'll think you'll like pick him up and slam him into the concrete, or I don't know where you're thinking it's gonna go.
I'm gonna crush his head on the floor.
No.
Really?
No,
125 pounds.
Demetrius Johnson, or
When he says a guy is X weight, he doesn't know that that's them at their smallest because of weight cutting. When we all know that even bantamweights walk around at over 170 pounds in some cases. Lightweights and welterweights pushing towards 200 pounds sometimes. Sean Strickland is easily over 200 pounds most of the time. But Martyn's going to keep saying this to pretty much all of these guys, especially ones that aren't heavyweights, to keep the meme alive. The thing is that anyone who actually trains at any decent level knows that size can overcome skill in many cases, depending on the size difference plus the skill difference. As the skill gap grows larger, the size gap must also grow much more to compensate, and vice versa. But that's not the point of this video. The point is, he figured out how defensive MMA and combat sports fans are. The inert need to prove that you know technique defeats size and strength. Droves of keyboard warriors who've taken a couple BJJ classes or sparred once must defend the honor of MMA and BJJ at all costs. Fighting the good fight that no bodybuilder could ever have any success, and those who know the true virtue of real fighting. The legend of the small Brazilian man beating all the tough guys at UFC 1 must be the end-all and be-all, and any attempt to have any nuance or challenge this must be struck down by die-hard MMA fans. This has worked so well, he even has BJJ and MMA YouTubers making content about his trolling now, like this. Bradley Martyn and his team had to have known or caught on to this in their comments and figured out why not troll MMA fighters for views. I say this because it worked. Through their experiments with creating content with fighters or people trying to be influencer boxers, they had to have noticed something.
and I don't know if you're serious or not.
Again, this
you
is
always fuck around, and it goes viral. So good for you.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a little trolly. The Nate one's a little trolly. Devin Haney in a street fight, I'll beat the out of him though. I really do believe that.
Martyn dabbled with this way back 2 years ago on his YouTube channel, rolling with Edwin Najmi, a high-level black belt, and his BJJ crew, where he did a video titled White Belt versus a Black Belt. The video has nearly 2 million views, and his channel was a lot smaller then. He does better than you'd expect, but he is 260. He even tapped a smaller blue belt and survived a triangle from Najmi, who was killing him softly. Bradley will show up to get embarrassed in most of these cases, at least the grappling ones in my opinion. But the key is, this gets views. Trolling MMA fans to no end has caused an easy path for him to grow both his YouTube channel and his podcast, and has caused creators like TikTokers, YouTubers, and websites to write about him creating content, only further blowing him up. But most of us that are familiar with both him and the fight game know it's just expert trolling with a dash of truth sprinkled in there. Whenever you see an influencer saying things like this, you need to ask yourself, why would they? The most obvious reasoning is money for an influencer. And how do they make money? Views on content. So, MMA fans being trolled has led to a gold mine of views for Martyn. This has created a cycle of content that could last through 2023, especially if he shows up to any of these grappling matches, like the Mighty Mouse one. Honestly, as someone who gets the shit kicked out of them regularly by world-class BJJ black belts, and is a huge fan of trolling, I can't be mad at Bradley, and usually he makes me laugh. My advice to MMA fans, stop being so insecure. It's just rolling around, hot and sweaty, with your best pals trying to choke each other to death. Here's to hoping Mighty Mouse flying triangles him. Cheers, Bradley. Let's roll some time.